You're listening to Mark of the Maker. Hey everybody, I'm Mark Steiner, and you're listening to Mark of the Maker, and this is episode 67 of the show. This time is a little topical thing, so warm up your Google search because we're going to give you some things to go look at as we go through this one. There are some really cool knives we're going to talk about and some very important makers for you to check out. We're going to try to hit some that we haven't talked about before, and so we'll get to that in just a minute. Let's make sure we have everybody with us. We have Mr. Tom Crine.
Hello.
We have Mr. Michael Birch.
Here.
And we have Mr. Sean Kendrick.
Hey, hey.
All right. So we'd like to thank everybody on Patreon who helps support the show. We need to take care of that business first. Those guys and gals on Patreon who send us a couple of bucks every month. We really appreciate you. You keep the wheels turning on this machine and help us keep these episodes flowing. So big high five to Patreon. If you're not a member of that, please consider it. Patreon.com. You can go search for Mark of the Maker there and you'll find us. And we offer a bunch of different tiers of support with some different benefits, which are kind of cool. We had a little giveaway here a little while ago that was pretty successful. So trying to do some more fun things here as the year rolls on. So please join us on Patreon or consider it. And thanks to everyone who does. And Tom, you want to talk about another person we need to thank?
Yeah, that'd be George at American Metal Exchange. If you're needing titanium, zirc, Damasteel, all sorts of exotic materials, he is the place to go. Not only does he do a great job with the business, but he's a good friend of ours, and I highly recommend him for titanium and zirc and really anything he carries. Talked to him just recently, and he's looking to get some other neat stuff that a lot of people won't be aware of. But yeah, you need exotic materials. What's that?
Thought maybe tacos.
Yeah, I'll hook you up with tacos.
Okay.
Just give me your address and I'll mail you a few.
Sweet.
Speaking of addresses.
Yeah. amxinc.com. amxinc.com. That's George at American Metal Exchange.
Wow. Very pro, Tom.
Are so professional.
Yes.
Right?
No, nicely done.
I had to practice.
We can tell. The delivery was solid. All right, let's get moving. So this time we are doing a topical episode. I'm going to give the name of the episode, and then Sean's going to give the AKA, the subtitle of the episode. We're calling this one the Bowie Bonanza.
The most American of knives.
Oh, yeah.
That's fantastic.
Because it's fucking American.
Super American. One of the things that we talked about that we should talk way up front is the name, right? Bowie.
Mm-hmm.
Sean, you got a funny story about the Bowie one. That was one I hadn't heard before.
Yeah, the Bowies. I actually get my car worked on at Bowie Tire Supply. That's my garage, and it's owned by Margie Bowie.
Spelled the same way, Bowie.
Spelled the exact same way. I mean,
not a sponsor.
Did you tell her she was pronouncing it wrong?
Man, you ain't met Margie. You ain't going to tell her that. Dude, she keeps this shop of motherfuckers in line, and if you seen the motherfuckers she is keeping in line, yeah, you keep it to yourself.
There you go. There you go. Sean's like, see, Margie, got you shout out. I'm coming in for a couple of fresh radials tomorrow, girl.
Yeah.
Oh, that's fantastic. So Bowie, that's one I'd never heard before.
Dude, same here.
I think the most common, or what people would correct people to if someone was doing the actually thing, would be Bowie, right? Bowie, but not like David Bowie.
Right. Correct.
Yeah.
See, I grew up pronouncing it Bowie, and it's hard for me to break that one.
So
I did as well. Yep.
I've said it both ways, and I'll probably continue to say it both ways
throughout this entire episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe so. Okay, so Sean, well, this was maybe this was a Michael and Sean co-venture, but I think Sean branded the categories that we were going to speak about. Usually we do
Rebranded.
rebranded, yeah. We made picks. This is a picks episode. And as usual, we're picking from categories. So we'll go into a category, we'll go through each of our picks, and then we'll switch to another category. So, Sean, you want to explain to the kids at home what the categories are?
All right. Our first category is classic. And it is what it is. We're going to pick a Bowie. It can be antique, it can be new, but it should be what one would consider the classic lines, the classic shapes, the classic form for a Bowie knife. Now, our second is outside the box. This would be a knife that can fit into the Bowie category because of features it has or lines it has, but it maybe, it's a little wilder, maybe a little more crazy than what we would traditionally think of as your classic Bowie knife.
Some purists might turn their nose up at the outside the box picks.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, indeed.
Yeah.
Indeed.
But
and to them, we say, fuck you. Okay, well, whatever.
Or
we
fuck
love
your
you,
opinion.
Fuck you.
We love you, but fuck your opinion. But yes, keep going, please.
Yes, indeed. And then for our third, we do dealer's choice because, well, some Bowies fit into both categories, some don't fit into any, and some we just like and want to talk about. And that gives us the opportunity to do that.
All right, okay.
Freedom to say whatever we want without having to worry about the constraints of categories.
Or consequences or repercussions.
Look at that.
I thought that was like all of them. We could do whatever we want.
Well, you're talking about what we actually do, Tom, not what the assignment
Oh,
was.
yes. Right. Sorry.
There's sometimes
This
is
is tough.
different.
This was tough because, one, I tried not to pick stuff you guys are going to pick, what I think you're going to pick. Two, it's a huge category.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's like, yeah, it was
There's so many
overwhelming.
greats. There's so many greats and so many. It was really, really hard. I had all my books laid out. I just cleaned my shop really well this past Saturday. And it was just like trashed with books again.
Yeah.
Same. My office is wall to wall.
Right. No, so tons of options. That's probably the biggest challenge for me was there's so many, right? And it's like, well, some of these makers we've kind of mentioned or talked about before. So we made a conscious effort to not, if we could, pick makers that we'd previously spoken about. So we're not going to talk about super obvious, well, there are some super obvious ones, but like we've already talked about Moran, right? A bunch of the Randall knives are very Bowie-ish.
Right.
Claudio
The Loveless
Sobral.
Big Bear.
Yeah, the Loveless Big Bear, the Kronk stuff. There's definitely Bowie's in there. Rod Chappell, Jan Hafenik, and we will talk about, I think, one of his mentors and some stuff. But there's a bunch of guys we've already talked about, so we're trying not to retread that territory if we can.
Yeah, we want to expose you folks to new, interesting knives.
Yeah.
Yes.
He's like, you got to pick Kaz. I'm like, but one, you ought to listen to the podcast more. But two, how did you know that name?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's pretty crazy. That props to Abby.
Yeah. Was I saying it in my sleep or something?
Good taste on her part. I mean,
Yeah.
and seriously hard not to pick one of theirs.
Oh,
'Cause
man.
Once again, I mean, the stuff they're putting out, choose your category. They got something to go with it.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So we're not mentioning those folks because we disrespect them. We're not mentioning them because we've already talked about them. We're trying to bring you some new stuff. So we're going to mention some names that you've heard before, obviously. There's some greats in here, many greats, and maybe some other ones that are, as Sean described, outside the box.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I know that one of mine is a modern classic.
Ooh.
Says you.
There was no
It's
modern
a
classic
fact.
category. Sorry.
Hmm.
Well, so let's get started on this thing. We're going to start with classic, right? That's our starting point. I think Tom was the last to put his picks in. So Tom, would you like to go first in the classic category?
Sure. Yeah, let me send you guys a pick.
We'll
real
take
quick.
turns, Michael.
So, this was like I just finished up before we started because
He's a busy man.
it's been busy. But let me send a pick here. So, and this was very difficult for me to find because I thought it was in a different book. So I thought it was in one of the Knives Points of Interest books. So I looked through all 5 of those like 3 or 4 times, and it was driving me crazy. But this is a knife that to me is very classic. It's something that I've liked ever since I've seen it, and it was actually in the first knife book I ever got, Knives and Knife Makers by Sid Latham. And this is a Dan Dennehy.
Dang.
So yeah, this was a picture in Knives and Knife Makers, and it's a really cool picture because it has 3 really cool knives. But the Bowie, or Bowie, or how did you say the other one?
Bowie.
Yeah, is just really cool. It's Dan Dennehy's Green Beret, and I've loved this. I've loved all 3 knives in this picture for as long as I can like knives, as long as I've known about custom knives. These were some of my favorites. So yeah, that's my first pick.
That's a pretty
good reason, man. Damn,
yeah,
it's a good looking knife.
It's just very, a cool set, right?
I mean, yeah, man. Is that middle piece? Does it have a triangular blade?
Yeah, it's a triangular.
Okay, I thought
blade.
It had a punchy blade.
Yeah, very OSS type.
Mm-hmm.
So describe to the people at home.
Yeah, so these are probably a trio of knives. There's on the left side is his let's see what he calls it, the Recon Special, and it's got a micarta handle, and it's about an 8-inch dagger blade, and these have soldered guards and butt caps, and it's a pretty wide blade. It's really cool. And then in the middle of the photo is a little stiletto, no guard, real like round handle with a triangular blade. Just really cool for poking people.
torso ventilator.
Yeah. And then the Green Beret is a Bowie, and it's got the soldered double guard, and then it's got a butt cap, and it's got the handle has 4 sections with spacer material in between it, and just a very classic, probably 8-inch, very straight Bowie with a straight clip.
Yeah, it's very clean.
Yeah,
yeah, beautiful drawn out clip on it. Really took the
it's
clip
really
a ways
long.
back on it.
Yeah, so I really, like I said, these have been very inspirational to me over the years, and I really like all 3 knives. But that Bowie is really cool.
Sean, are my eyes playing tricks on me, or is that clip actually almost like got a little curve to it or something? The grind part of it.
Man, yeah, it looks like it has a subtle inward dip.
Yeah.
Maybe
I don't know if
very
that's the
slight.
page curving.
Yeah, it could be.
Yeah.
Well, that guy's
So that's
beautiful.
my pick.
Very nice, and just a fantastic photo in general, right? How long ago did you see this photo, Tom?
Would have been in when I got that book, which would have been about 86.
Wow.
So yeah.
Yeah, I can see where that would stick in your head.
Yep, I would have been like a sophomore in high school.
Yeah. Really cool.
What's interesting, it's got a very combat knife look to it, but I mean, what is a combat knife but a newer Bowie?
It kind of feels like a Randall 14 a little bit.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I thought.
With a long clip, and yeah, I don't know.
Yep. Beautiful piece. You have to share this picture, Tom. This is a really, really cool shot when we get this episode out there.
For sure.
And that's in the Sid
I'm
Latham.
telling you, I like that little hydraulic pressure regulator in the middle.
Yes.
Mhm.
Right?
I'm just ed up with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've
SKS
always
bayonet.
loved that.
Yeah.
You should make one of those, Sean.
I very well may.
Yeah, now we're talking.
Wouldn't be too hard, but it'd be even cooler if we put like a 1-inch wheel grind on each one.
Oh, yeah. A little wee hollow.
Yeah. Be crazy.
Do it.
Do it.
That would be super cool. All right. Nice pick, Tom.
Yeah, nice
Thank you.
pick.
Very.
It makes me want to clap him off the field. Nice pick, Tom.
Mm-hmm. Good job.
Okay. And very classic piece indeed. Let's go to Mr. Michael Birch. Your classic pick, sir.
I'm going as classic as it can be. I went through like a bunch of makers, and then I was like, I don't know if it gets any more like classic design than Mr. James Batson.
Good call.
This guy loves Bowies and Bowies so much. He talked about them. He wrote about how to make them. He taught about them, and he made them. He made like these pure, very appropriate replicas. And the one I'm showing off here is a dog bone.
Yeah.
So it's got your very, very classical, the handle actually looks like a bone. It's got the multiple pins on it, the plate on the front, a very, very long blade. It's pure fighter, old school fighter. And I think it would be remiss if we didn't mention him if we're going to talk about these knives. So I had to add him.
Yeah, for sure.
I kind of figured somebody was going to pick him.
We had to. And it's not just that he does reproductions or, he did reproduction stuff, but he did them very well. And he was obviously so very passionate about, these knives. He wrote, one called How to Build an Antique Bowie Knife. He wrote the James Bowie and the Sandbar Fight. He's had his mastersmith since like 1993. He was a former president of ABS. I mean, he's a guy to know about if you don't already.
Scientist.
What's that?
I think he's a rocket scientist, or he was with NASA.
Yeah, doctor is on the front of that.
Pretty crazy.
So, yeah, it's pretty awesome. So he had to be in there.
Good call.
Yeah, that's a real cool piece. And it's got like a wrap around the end of the dog bone.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty cool. So
I'm not sure what that's called. That
I don't know.
Kind of rear frame almost.
Right.
I don't know.
There's probably a name for it.
Exactly.
Oh, I'm sure there's a name for every piece on it. I don't know why, since it's a, replica of an older design, why that was made then. What made that? Because I don't think it'd be an easier way to build a knife.
No, I would assume it's to be able to pound somebody with that end or something.
Yeah, but I think there'd be easier ways to get to that.
Yeah.
And I think it might be there to protect handle material and to keep the ass end of your handle from chipping out.
Could be.
Maybe so, because it looks like it follows that profile, right? You can see the little steps where those little radii run out at the end of the handle. You can see it's cut out to match all that. So
sent another one to you. This was ripped from Pinterest, though. I guess I'm going to have to get an account if we're going to keep doing this podcast, because I sure do find a lot of photos on Pinterest sometimes.
Yeah, same here.
But like for half a second, I got to click and save real fast.
That's a pretty nice save. Like acting like you don't have a Pinterest account. That's pretty good.
I may have to.
Well, how the hell else is he going to keep up with his scrapbooking, Tom?
I know.
Right.
I know.
See, okay, so from that view, it looks almost like that rear wrap plate is pinned to the tang.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. And what style of notch is that? That's not a Spanish notch.
No.
But that's funky. That's cool.
I'm sure it's got a name too. We probably ought to all buy one of his books.
There you go.
I have them.
Oh, do you?
But I don't remember what it's called if it was said, but just making that, think how would you make that? That would be such a pain in the ass to make. That little cap to fit and be flush.
No doubt.
Somebody, I'm not going to mention names in case somebody has them, is recently made not that type, but a very close type of handle to that, a classical or historical Bowie knife. And he kind of shows how he does some of the pieces. I'll talk about that later in case.
Nice.
But I don't want to step on any toes.
Oh, in case somebody picked that. I got you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So those pins like that, I'm probably mistaking this or not categorizing this correctly, but when I see those pins, I think San Francisco knife. But I don't know if that's really the...
No. I wouldn't consider that San Francisco.
Okay.
No, I mean, that's basically...
That's more like Deep South resin Bowie type stuff.
Okay.
I would think, right?
Yeah, no, it's definitely like reminiscent of, how they would decorate with tacks and stuff like that.
There you go. Yeah.
On the
Okay.
frontier.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But now the framing on the butt of the handle and around the perimeter of the handle, that reminds me of San Francisco.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would agree with that.
Interesting.
We'll give you that.
Begrudgingly, he said.
Begrudgingly. It's always begrudgingly. I get it.
That's a beautiful pick. Great job.
Yeah. Yep.
Thanks, guys.
Cool pick.
Fun research.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
All right. What about you, Sean? What was your classic pick?
My classic pick was a Musso Bowie by Rick Marchand.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, check that motherfucker out, right?
I
Nice
was hoping
pick.
someone would pick a Musso.
Well, it's my favorite style. I guess we should... the Musso Bowie, it's what I generally refer to as a brass back or copper back Bowie. It's called the Musso design because a collector named Joe Musso had picked up one at, I think it was a flea market or a yard sale, and claimed he had it dated to 1830, and then was saying that it was the actual Alamo Bowie knife. And so that style became known as the Musso Bowie because he made it he put it out there so hard.
Think Inglorious Bastards.
Yes.
Nice.
So
And
I actually picked one of his knives also, Sean, but you'd already picked.
now, he was one of, looked at his stuff, and, you could have picked from him and covered any of the categories we were using.
So
Dude has killer stuff.
did you see his D-Guard Bowie at Blade maybe 3 or 4 years ago? I think one of our friends, Dudley, ended up with.
You mean the one I'm sending the picture of right now that I had held back?
I don't know. Let me look. Yep, that's it. That's the one I picked. That was the one I was going to pick. I got to handle that knife at Blade Show, and it was the coolest knife I handled that year at the show. And it's one of the coolest knives I've ever handled.
It looks like a fucking short sword.
Yeah.
Dude, it was ridiculously sharp. It was one of the knives that actually kind of spooked me. It was that sharp. And I felt like I could do anything with that knife. It just was alive in the hand.
Man, it's got so
Very
much
cool.
going on, and it would do so much of the work for you. With the way that recurve is, and then that huge fucking belly.
Yeah, I was going to
just
say.
let your arm drop, and gravity's going to take care of the rest.
Right. I was going to ask if did it feel like that, Tom, that it was real front heavy? It has almost like a kukri kind of forward weighted thing going on.
It's very light in the hand.
Check that out.
Yeah, I figured it would be quick as a hiccup for its size.
So, ironically, right before Blade, I reached out to him. I've got to get one of his big knives. I've got 3 of his smaller knives, and I think I'm going to go for one of these D-Guard Bowies. His kukris are really cool too, but such a neat knife.
So, Tom, for the kids at home who are driving and can't Google while they're looking at stuff, I'm sorry, this is Sean's pick. So,
Yeah, Sean.
can you explain Rick's style for people who haven't seen this style? It's almost like a rustic kind of style a little bit, or like
Rustic. I would not say brute to forge, but definitely rustic.
Mm-hmm.
The blade looks okay. Blade looks probably 8.5, 9 inches. Copper on the spine out to where the swedge is ground. Nice, really inward sweeping clip on it. Kind of an S guard done in, if I had to guess, I would guess iron, or maybe steel that had been, left in the forge finish, with a little copper dot accent at the top of and bottom of the S, pinned through. And then the handle looks, I am guessing it's hemp cord that's been scorched.
Yeah, so it looks like it.
It's like neo-primitive, but like semi-neo-primitive.
Yeah. And then there's a butt cap made of the same material as the guard, I'm guessing.
Yeah, and the one Tom sent has like a real cool forged D-guard one-piece kind of setup going on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the one Tom's talking about, just, man, so much going on with that knife. Super
deep
awesome
edge.
D-guard. Once again, the cord-wrapped handle. And then at each end, the front and back end of the cord wrapping, there's little copper spacers that match the copper on the spine of the knife. and then really long, just flowy clip and a big fat ass recurve bellied blade. I mean, it borders on fantasy.
So, Sean, I just sent you a link. The overall length on the knife that you chose is 19 3/4 inches. It's big.
Ooh.
Hell yeah.
It's big.
That is a big old boy. Damn.
And the other one,
13 3/4. Fucking
yeah,
A
that's
right.
what I'm saying. That sub hilt is 18 inches, or the D guard is 18 inches, dude.
Wow.
They're big and they're fast.
That's crazy. So the one that Sean sent, the Musso, it looks proportionally, the blade doesn't look that long, right?
Mm-mm.
So it must be super broad.
These things are, like I said, they're massive. When you hold them, the blades are wide, but everything balances so good.
Yeah.
They're freaky.
Well, it looks like they're ground thin, a really high flat ground thin. And man, it just makes a knife fast, especially when you've got that full distal taper kick and the swedge is ground thin to be sharp also.
Yeah, if you know how to handle a knife, like with the Bowie with the back cut and stuff, these things are absolutely deadly. Literally take limbs.
I was incorrect. Inglourious Bastards in my head for some reason. It's not a Musso he's holding. That Brad Pitt and Eli Roth in that picture. I looked it up.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's a brass back, though, ain't it?
It's not. I straight up Mandela affected myself.
Whoa.
Holy shit. We've played ourselves, fella.
Somewhere when I was doing my searching, I don't remember who made it, but there was one of the actors from Inglourious Bastards had somebody build a knife. Maybe it was maybe it's my pick that I'm actually going to get ready to mention now that I say that. But well, those are real pretty. And you say Dudley's got the D guard?
Pretty sure, yeah.
Damn it.
It's a badass blade.
Yeah.
All of his knives are awesome. If you're not familiar with his work, Wilder Tools is his website, and the gallery has some cool stuff.
Yes, it do.
WilderTools.com.
He makes machetes and kukris and stuff like that are really wicked cool.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Awesome. Very cool choice. Nice work, Sean.
Good call, Sean.
All right. So I'm doing my classic pick last. This one, in my eyes, is ultimate class. This one's crazy dressy, but it's sort of one of these people you can't not mention when you talk Bowie knife, and that is Harvey Dean.
Mm-hmm.
And so this one is very elaborate and decorated. This is another dog bone handle like the one that Birch mentioned. This thing is super heavily engraved. It's got some very, very cool feather Damascus that is kind of run in the opposite direction I would normally see it, I think, but so pretty. Just a beautiful knife all around. And like on some of the other, I'll post this Instagram link when we post the show where he shared pictures of this knife. This is a few years ago now that he posted it. But if you look down the comments on that Instagram post at the people going, whoa, wow, holy shit. It's like a who's who of great knife makers. So pretty cool. Harvey Dean is kind of a cornerstone guy in the industry, right? AKI maker, ABS mastersmith, author. He's got a couple of books out there, sort of a legendary maker, instructor at the Moran School, former ABS chairman for a bunch of years. So kind of can't not talk about Harvey Dean. Kind of
Same notch, too.
Oh, yeah, it is, isn't it? Well, that's interesting.
It is.
Huh. Yeah, there's got to be more to that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, neat knife. And if you just scroll down his page, all this stuff is ridiculous. But he makes, it's kind of funny because if you go to his website, he's got a bunch of very straightforward Bowie knives and other stuff as well. So his IG definitely has showcased all the super, 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 super fancy ones. But there are some very, very, very clean ones on his website of just, hand rub blades, micarta handles, that kind of stuff that are kind of stashed away on the website. So worth checking that out as well. HarveyDean.com is where he's at.
That clip has a notch on it, too.
Does it?
Yep. And that's not there by accident.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's wild. I wonder why.
I'm going to have to do some reading about the reason and whatnot of this dog bone.
Let's call Mr. Harvey Dean up and ask him.
Does the clip have a notch or does it just have like some cool file work?
Got something
on
going
the
on.
edges?
Some sort of file notch before the grind.
It looks, man, the detail work is amazing.
Yeah. Right. Like right where the plunge is, basically, there's like a feature there somewhere. Like like you said, a notch or a cut corner or radius corner or something.
Yeah. I feel like sometimes I like I'll do something and I'll be proud of my work. And then I look at some of the stuff and I'm like, I need to just punch myself in the face.
Yeah.
This show is definitely the great humbleizer when it comes to the things we look at.
Yeah.
Humbleizer is a real word, right?
Humbleizer is absolutely a real word.
If it's not, it should be.
Mm-hmm.
So for folks not familiar with Harvey Dean, which probably most of our listeners are, but if you're not, go look up his work, harveydean.com, and you can find him on Instagram as well, harvey.dean.knives, tons of cool stuff, and legendary maker.
Yeah. Great pick. It works as a classic on a couple levels.
Okay, so we're going to move on to category number 2, which I think is our outside the box category. And this time we'll have Michael start.
Oh, do you now?
Yeah.
Okay, just switch it up on me.
Well, yeah, why not?
I went real funky on this one.
Real funky.
Mainly because it's a knife that I wanted when I was a youngin', but it's the Strider D9. I wanted to add it because it's just out there. You know, it still has the kind of Bowie shape. It still has the, I don't know. I mean, it's a combat knife, but like I said, a combat knife is basically just a new, type of Bowie knife when it comes to those things. Still got that long edge, a little bit of a clip going there, and just, it's a crazy cool knife. Always liked it.
Those are cool.
Yeah, man, in my opinion, that's the quintessential Strider fixed blade.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I mean, that knife brought a lot of people to the party.
Yep.
Yeah, I didn't have the money to get to that party, but man, it made me super interested. I was like, damn, that's a cool knife. Like back when I had a square, big old tube computer thing, I had it saved on that thing. That and some Simoniches and all those damn knives. I lusted after them.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Michael, you want to describe this one? I think a lot of people are familiar with this one, but...
Well, it kind of gets into that combat slash, survivally type knife. It's a single piece. It's got their paracord wrap on it. It's got the camouflage that they kind of got real popular with, which was kind of like a gun coat or something, kind of spray over.
Right, gun coat and blasted back or something.
Yeah, but I mean those are these things that were like very, very absolute Strider that you can see from a mile away.
Yep,
and it's a great shape. It's a fantastic shape. It looks to be begged to be carried.
Oh yeah, man, it looks like straight business.
Yeah,
and one of these days I'll get one when I'm an adult.
You don't have one?
I don't.
Well, there you go. Put it on the list.
I don't have an Emerson Spec War either, Another one of those that just always wanted to get one of these days.
Too bad you don't have a pal that has some Emerson stuff.
I know.
I've offered to send you things to carry around for a little while before, my friend.
That's awesome.
You don't have
like that.
Spec War Timberline /
No,
Emerson, do you?
No.
But I do.
Yeah.
I know you do.
We talked about that at TKI.
You dirty dog. Yeah.
It's all about that sheath.
It is all about that sheath.
I feel some horse trading going on. It's coming up.
So yeah, I wanted to go way, way outside the box, and that's where I landed.
That's pretty solid outside the box.
Mm-hmm.
But I like it.
Yeah.
So let's do Sean. Sean, what's your outside the box choice? Yours is also sort of a modern classic, right?
This was the modern classic I referred to earlier. I chose the vintage, sterile SOG Bowie.
Awesome.
The Vietnam War era.
Very cool.
Oh man, such a cool knife and great story behind it. I recommend anybody who listens to do a little bit of research on the fella who designed it. His name was Conrad Ben Baker, and he was referred to as America's Q. And with good reason. He designed some hellaciously cool gear. In my opinion, the SOG Bowie is the coolest, but I'm kind of biased toward the knives. But the dude was prolific, and he was a sharp cat. Mm-hmm. And we're also talking about the second iteration of the SOG knife. The original iteration was less. It wasn't quite as Bowie. It was a cool knife, but I don't believe it truly fits into the Bowie category because of the blade shape. Whereas I think the SOG Bowie fits into the category because, it's got that cool inward curving clip. Yeah, it does have some different lines on the spine, but I believe...
Sexy lines.
Yeah, super sexy lines. But I believe the heart of the knife is still the same. It's still that workhorse design.
Yeah, it's basically just a dropped, took that clip and really dropped that curb super low. But, if you raise that up, you've got a lot of the same sort of lines and get rid of that extra dip. But that's also what makes the SOG so damn sexy.
Yes.
Deep curves.
And it's a totally functional knife, too. It does what it's supposed to do.
Give me just a second, fellas, and hopefully I can send you a really cool picture of a modern interpretation of it. I'm looking. Talk amongst yourselves, because, God damn it, I tried to save it. Well, no, I tried to save the picture, but it was on Instagram.
Oh, Instagram.
Well, if you look at the SOG there, it's also very reminiscent of the Zachary, the original Randall.
Yep.
Drawing.
Yeah.
What's the real name?
I know what you're talking about, but let's see if
somebody with real memory. All right, now we got to talk amongst ourselves for talking amongst ourselves.
All right, I think it was the Zacharias.
It's a Zacharias fighter. Yep.
I was pretty close. If I just mumble a little bit better, I'd have been right on.
Right, I just sent you a link to a really stellar modern interpretation of the SOG knife.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, wow.
That's
right?
Super cool.
Have you sent
Let's
this
not
to me
mention
before?
who made it because I'm going to bring him back up later.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Either I've seen this or someone sent this to me. Those are both the same thing, but...
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
Wow, that's badass.
It really is. It really is.
Oh, and as an aside, Conrad Ben Baker is the guy who's responsible for getting Seiko watches issued to Special Forces units.
Oh, that's
Really?
a fun fact.
Yes.
It is fun.
Also, he's the guy who came up with the boots that leave the human footprint.
Whoa.
That's a more interesting fact.
So was he like an OSS guy?
Let's see, man. He served in World War II. Well, here, I'll give you a quick rundown. Baker, a World War II veteran who served briefly in General Douglas MacArthur's headquarters staff before putting his skills of organization and logistics to work with field engineers. In 1963, he was working in Okinawa when Special Forces Captain David E. Watts worked to develop the Counterinsurgency Support Office, or SISO, in anticipation of needing to equip thousands of CIDG troops as the Vietnam War escalated. A key figure within SISO, and nowadays synonymous with the organization, was Conrad Ben Baker, who served as the deputy director from 63 to 72. Baker played an instrumental and hands-on role in the research, development, and production of new, highly specialized weapons, uniforms, and equipment. The end users principally being U.S. Special Forces, SOG, other federal agencies, and indigenous forces operating within and from the Republic of Vietnam.
Any relationship to L.F. Baker? Do you know of any?
Not in my research, and I've actually done a little bit of reading on him.
Okay.
He was really well respected in the Special Forces community. He died in 2019, and he was remembered. There are a lot of notices of his death on several Special Forces operation groups' websites.
So we're not mentioning the guy who you just showed yet, but his work is very reminiscent of Hafnick a little bit. No? Yes?
Yes.
I want...
Yes.
All right. Okay, cool. Yeah, great pick.
Yes, excellent pick. Very legendary cornerstone knife in general, right? That, like you said, certainly fits within outside the box Bowie or Bowie, depending on if you were there for tires or knives.
Yep.
Okay.
And once again, highly recommend doing a little bit of research on Ben Baker and SOG in general. I mean, lots of interesting stories to be found there.
Okay. So my outside the box pick isn't super outside the box, but kind of is. So this is a Bowie, but it's from David Lish. And David has done a number of crazy looking Bowies that have very, very funky guards. And so there's this picture actually that I sent you has a couple of them. The one that got my attention was this split ring penny D guard.
Those are crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
So the one actually has like a ring, right, for your index finger.
Yeah, like a sub hilt.
Right. But the ring is forged from a piece split from the center of the lower part of the guard.
And then the back part goes through that hole. It's crazy.
And then the butt cap is a long piece that forms the D guard up and through the pierced hole in the penny guard. So
I've never seen anything like that.
Yeah.
You guys will have to see it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's hard to explain.
It's actually tough to explain. I mean, for real.
I messaged David and said, hey, David, I'm going to talk about this knife on this podcast that we do. You want to give me some fun facts? And he went into a very great explanation of how he did it, which is cool, but I don't want to read that to you here. I'll share some of that when we post this in the Facebook group. But he also shared some other examples of these split penny D guards that are really, really cool looking. There's a second one that's in this same picture where the guard, this is pretty neat. If you haven't seen the video of it, the one in the bottom part of this picture, that second little spike that sticks out of the penny guard, it actually rotates. It's got friction, but it rotates in that bottom penny. And he has a stand for it. So that actually pokes into the stand, but then you can flip it forward and it's kind of like this D guard that has extra aggression in the front.
Yeah, that's meaner than Nux for sure.
Yeah, yeah. And also made with beautiful Damascus and so
Mammoth and stag.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's some gnarly stag.
David's stuff is really, really fun to look at. He's a really interesting guy to listen to. He likes to explain what he's doing. His Instagram is David Lish, DAVIDLISCH on Instagram. And David loves to go fishing, so there's lots of fishing stuff on his Instagram as well. But then there's lots of videos of him making these knives and going through the steps for some of these very elaborate guards and other stuff that he makes, which are really, really cool.
Yeah, his work is absolutely beautiful.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. This other one that I'm sending, he called the Pirate Bowie. And this is another funky looking guard. It's a penny guard, but it also has like another heel, like butt cap, that has two big long, like a split section that wraps around forward and meets up with the front guard and basically turns it into a D guard. But part of it is in iron that's been kind of splattered with gold. And then the back part that wraps around the front with almost like a curly handlebar mustache shape is Damascus. So
it's wild.
It is wild. Yes.
It looks like snake's tongues forking out. It's almost like, I don't know. That's hard to explain. You're doing a good job.
It kind of looks like flame licking around it.
Yes.
You know, like a flame's coming up and it meets it and then it's got a lick around it and it curls back on itself.
Yeah. They're really, really cool pieces.
His Instagram feed is awesome.
It is.
Did you see that spoon he made?
I think
Yeah.
so.
And the stag-handled pizza slicers.
I want the spoon, man. Forget having a silver spoon or whatever. I want the Damascus spoon.
Yeah.
Such clean Damascus.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Super clean.
Wow.
Yep. Really pretty knives.
Good call.
Lots of cool work.
Mhm.
Fun page to check out. He's very talkative and gives lots of explanation. That's really fun. And seems like he's having a great time doing it. So it's really, really nice.
Yeah, really cool.
Yeah, stellar.
Good
pick.
choice, man.
Damn.
Okay, so there you go. Outside the box. I mean, his stuff is kind of outside the box, right? Certainly those guards are. Those are wild.
Oh, yeah.
But otherwise, traditional Bowie shape. No mistaking what that knife is.
Mhm.
I mean, you're not shoehorning it into category by any stretch of the imagination.
No.
Plus, we can pick whatever the hell we want.
That's right.
That seems to be the case. Okay, Tom, we're circling back around to you. Outside the box pick for this Bowie Bonanza.
All right, let's see here. So here is my pick. When I got into knife making, in the back of all the magazines were ads for Shiva Kai,
Mm-hmm.
and his Mercenary. For some reason, I love that knife. I love the lines, and I think it fits into that Bowie category just fine. And I couldn't find a picture of it, but they had the ones with like the Screaming Eagle carved stag. That was like, I would love to have one of those. That's like perfect. But just the regular Mercenary that I sent is, I think, a perfect example of the knife that I'm talking about, this Mercenary.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's archetypical of his, fighting Bowies.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yep, for sure.
definitely a interesting individual.
Mhm.
And he got hurt pretty bad, maybe a year ago?
Yeah,
2 years
maybe
ago.
a little over a year ago.
Yeah.
But not too much over a year, I don't
So
think.
I don't know, if he's making many knives now or not, but I know he got a bad chainsaw accident to one of his arms.
Ouch.
But
Yeah.
I always liked his work. I always liked the shape and the style, and I always wanted one. But yeah, that's about it.
I've only handled a few of his knives, but his knives were in that, like, wow, sharp kind of category.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're definitely known for being crazy sharp.
Yeah.
Yeah, just stupid sharp from all accounts I've heard.
Yeah, I've never got to handle one, so.
So, Tom, why don't you explain for people what this one kind of looks like?
So it's, the ones that I've seen, the blade length isn't real long. We're talking 8 inches or so, which isn't a super big Bowie, honestly. But these are double ground, so it's got the clip, and it's hollow ground, not quite as deep on the top, and it's got a guard with like a guard that slides over the back, so the handle's a little smaller than the front of the blade, which is a pretty common thing back in the day. And it's got a pommel skull crusher. Like I said, the one I would always wanted were the Screaming Eagle carved stag ones. But very reminiscent kind of style of who Larry Harley also kind of had the same kind of Bowie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I almost picked one of his.
The Hog Hunter?
Yeah, that's a classic shape.
Yeah. Very cool.
But yeah, really, really old school maker. He's been making for a long time. And, like I said, he got hurt, and I imagine that slowed him down quite a bit. I think he chainsawed some of the tendons in his arm.
Eesh.
Man, I
Maybe
believe
all of them. What?
I believe it was kind of a close call for him.
Yeah, I think he almost bled to death, right?
Yeah.
So
Damn.
props to him. I always wondered if that was really his name too.
I think there's a lot of stuff, a lot of interesting stories about him.
Yeah, I think you're right. I've heard some stuff.
Legends.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
I believe he may be what they call a character.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. A character that makes badass knives.
He was a hell of a knife maker.
Yeah.
So props to you, Shiva.
Hey, character ain't got to be detrimental.
No. Okay. Great pick. Definitely outside the box and awesome. What I think we are on to the last category. Is that right?
I believe you're
Everybody
correct.
did an outside the box. All right. So, Sean, if you'd like to go ahead with your dealer's choice pick, since we kind of already talked about him a little bit.
Yep. I'm picking Samuel Lurkin for my dealer's choice pick. Man, it's hard for me to find a knife on his Insta or in a Google search that I don't like a lot. I mean, he just does fantastic work, and the picture I just sent you guys is very representative of it. And in my opinion, it is just a stellar interpretation of the Bowie, and it's even got, to my eye, a little bit of that Predator machete flavor to it.
Yeah. Awesome.
And once again, we're talking about Samuel Lurkin, and you can find him on Instagram. He is Wardog2079, and it's Wardog space 2079, and so many cool pieces.
My internet is not allowing me to see your picture.
Whoa.
I'm staring at white space.
Oh, that's no fun. Okay, so I said that I thought maybe Sam was a mentor to Jan Hafnick, but I'm looking back at an email from Jan, and he says influenced by the work of Master Smith, Sam Lurkin. So maybe they didn't actually work together, or maybe Jan didn't study with him, but very, very similar style.
Yeah, there's definitely some overlap there somehow.
Yeah.
Wow, his Instagram page is pretty awesome.
It absolutely is.
Some great pieces on there.
Yeah, and I haven't seen it completed, but he was working on his own version of the Father's Sword from Conan.
Oh, I saw the drawing on there.
Really?
Yeah,
there's
the last thing I saw, he had worked up the wax to cast the guard.
Where does he live?
That's a good question, one which I cannot answer.
Is he in Europe?
They got to be close to each other. I mean, the same guards, the same Hamones even.
Yeah, very.
Or very similar signatures on them.
Yeah.
I want to say I picked up a bunch of Bowie blades from someone for Dudley one time at Blade Show, and I want to say it was his work.
An Almar Warrior-esque blade with Hamon. Damn.
Yeah. And now check out these trenchers I just sent the link to.
Yeah, I saw those.
Oh, God.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He's got some crazy push daggers down in there, too.
Yeah. Those are way cool. With Tashi.
Yeah, I saw those.
Yep, those are badass.
True craftsman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really like the heavily sculpted sub-hilt guard, some of it integral, that whole thing he has going on. Very organic, integral pieces in a lot of the guards and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. And
Very
man,
nice.
I mean, he's obviously not afraid to freestyle here and there. I mean, he's got a lot of different stuff.
Yeah, for sure. Oh, really cool. Nice pick, Sean.
Thank you.
Okay. So let's see. That's a great dealer's choice. I'm going to go next. My dealer's choice is something from a guy that most of us know. This is someone who Jeremy Marsh talked about as a mentor of his, and that's Mr. David Broadwell. And I'm sending you a link.
I very nearly went with a Broadwell knife.
Yeah.
His work is amazing.
His work is really stunning. He does really, really, really nice detail work, beautiful shapes. The one I am sending you is a sub-hilt Bowie, because I like sub-hilts. And it has an integral sub-hilt with the guard. We've seen this. You can see this in Sam Lurkin's work. You can see this in Cas Knives' work. Claudio does a bunch of these kind of things. This piece is for people at home, this is a 10-inch blade, 14 5/8 overall, so it's a big one. It's got Delbert Ely Damascus, It's got a Damascus guard with this integral subhilt. It's got mammoth ivory handles. Gosh, what else? It's pretty cool. It's almost hard to see.
Copper pin?
It looks like copper. I was going to say copper or gold. I guess they look like copper in the pictures, don't they? This thing actually, it's hard to see because the Damascus pattern is kind of takes away in a small version of the picture. But if you blow it up, it has a fuller, kind of like a sweeping fuller in the blade, which is really, really pretty. Curved and tapered fuller freehand ground in there. Well, how much fun does that sound? Freehanding that curved
Zero.
Yeah.
Zero.
Yeah, it sounds like about as much fun as getting a titanium splinter out of your fucking eye.
With an MRI machine.
Right. Yeah, so really cool piece. Lots going on with this one. And lots going on with lots of David stuff. He, like you said, he does beautiful work. And I like talking to him. He's obviously been a strong influence on Jeremy. When Jeremy was here, he talked about David very fondly. So cool piece and something different for sure.
He likes
And,
his
you know, in the
curves and
Broadwell
textures.
verse, that's actually a fairly sedate piece.
That's what I was about to say.
It kind of is,
Right.
yeah.
Ironically.
I mean, because some of his carving, like the actual carving into steel, is just next level.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like you were saying, Michael, tons of different textures and other stuff going on that really add dimension to these pieces.
He's got a video, I think, too, that is about carving and texturing and stuff like that, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. I've got it. It's
I
good.
think I do too.
Tom's got
I watched it and I realized quickly that I could not do that. Very quickly.
That's nice. Too funny. So we'll share this link in the picture. This one, in this particular one that I linked to, was on Les Robertson's website. Like I said, there's just cool details in here, right? One of the things I forgot to mention, his maker's mark, if you look, the collar on the blade that looks like bronze or something, that's where his maker's mark is. It's carved into the upper part of that collar where the guard meets the blade.
Nice.
Yeah, really neat little detail.
Yeah.
Okay. Tom, you want to give us your dealer's choice knife?
I went with Matt Lamy. I've been a big fan of Matt's work for a very long time.
Yeah.
It seems like he doesn't do a lot of knife work anymore. He's doing some, but, about 10 years ago, his work, he was doing a lot of work, and his Southern Bowie, I think is what it's called, is one that I really like. And he has a really very iconic style. It's like, that 10-inch with that really long clip that's sharpened and just really ergonomically shaped handles. They feel good. They're fast. They're light. And Matt 100% knows exactly what he's doing. And I don't know if you guys remember, he used to have all those videos because he's got a bunch of bamboo by his shop and he's always like chopping the bamboo with it.
Yeah.
He's also used his knives quite a bit for hog hunting. So they have been tried and tested. Very classic Bowie shapes. So yeah, that's my take. I really like that, sharpened curved swedge, almost like, like Bagwell-esque almost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But his work is really clean, and it's not super. I don't know. I don't really get off on the super elaborate stuff. I get off on the more cleanly executed, this will work type knife. And his knives were the epitome of that. They were extremely clean, extremely well done, and just, if you wanted a fighting Bowie, for me, you couldn't go wrong with one of his.
Yeah, I mean, just gorgeous minimalist knives.
Yeah. And that, to me, that's what I like. I like the lines. I don't like when you take exotic, I don't really care for a lot of exotic materials. I like simple materials done exotically, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
And,
absolutely.
And he 100% nails that. So
This
that's
one's
my
real
pick.
cool because it's like a very traditional old school Bowie blade and shape, but with like an ergo more modern-ish kind of handle.
Yeah. They've got a really great like palm swell and the I don't know what that swell kind of at the back is called, but it's almost like a Moran-ish handle that's been, slimmed down and stylized.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Yeah, see that all day.
They feel great in the hand and they're really fast. His balance on his knives is really good. The guy that works for me, Daniel, oftentimes he'll be carrying a 10-inch bag or a 10-inch lamy inside the waistband at work.
Nice. That's my kind of dude.
Right? Have a sig up front and the lamy on the side. I can respect anyone that carries an 8 or 10-inch Bowie. I mean, inside the waistband, and it's not as hard to do as you would think. If you can carry a pistol, you can carry a Bowie knife.
Yeah, a 10-inch Bowie isn't like no joke though. That's a big knife.
Yeah, you can do some business.
Yeah,
and you don't have to reload it.
Yep,
that's a fair point. Fair point. All right, very cool piece.
Yeah, and not to bring us too far off topic, but I was surprised nobody had mentioned Bill Bagwell before now.
Yeah,
well, I kind of figured he was in the upfront part.
Yeah.
I almost went with the Hell's Bells because I love that knife a lot, but I figured he was one of the greats up front that we would talk about and kind of was off limits.
And I didn't pick it because I figured one of you guys would have already jumped on.
We do that
what
a lot.
about the Iron Mistress? There's a ton of them that we just kind of like, well, too obvious.
This topic, it'd almost be like saying, hey, for our next one, let's do daggers. I mean,
yeah,
it's so big, and it's like looking through knives, points of interest books, and all my books. It was like I found a Scott Slobodian Bowie that was very sexy and all sorts of stuff. So
yeah, there's Ruth, Wheeler, Cashin, so many guys, and I started seeing guys that I'd forgotten about that I guess don't make anymore that were pretty big deals back in like the early 2000s or.
Yeah.
Well, I don't really want to say much anymore, but because we're not all done picking, but there's quite a few that haven't been hit yet that are like the big names,
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe at the end we can jam on that a little.
Yep, for sure. All right, so
I may have a pick or two that could be honorable mention.
Yeah. I got a feeling we got a few of those.
Mm-hmm.
All right, well, we'll talk about that in a minute. Michael, this is the very last pick, dealer's choice from Michael.
Yeah, I thought I was okay to say some names since I thought I was the last one.
Yeah, the order's kind of, I don't know where we are, but yeah, sorry.
I kind of came around this a very strange way. So this first thing I'm going to send you isn't even a Bowie knife.
Ooh.
But I got it stuck in my head, and this will lead to a Bowie knife, I promise you. But I came across...
Yeah, okay. You're taking the long way around the barn, pal.
But I had to, as soon as I saw a picture of this, it's what's called a lion sword. It's basically a cut and shoot, but one like I've never seen before. It's got almost a saber-esque type of blade, sword blade out of Damascus by Ron Newton. It's a 50 caliber flintlock pistol sword.
That's a 50?
Yep.
Oh, that's awesome.
Wow.
Dude, it looks like a mini ship's cannon.
It does.
It does. It really does. And it's got he had a certain name for the trigger that I could not remember what that was, of how it's used. But so I contacted him and I wanted to talk about it because I couldn't find any information on this knife, and it was bothering me. You guys know who that is.
Yeah. Did you say the maker's name already or no?
Yeah, Ron Newton.
Yeah, Ron Newton.
Which, just one of those guys, just super clean. He's been around forever, making some of the probably best stuff out there, just like a lot of the guys we talked about. But, he made a bunch of trips to Kenya. He had bought that book, Blades and Barrels. If you go looking for it, it's like $300, $200 now. And he was just really intrigued by these cut and shoots and stuff and all the mechanisms and stuff like that. And I guess this is a real, thing out there. A lion sword is a real weapon used. And it was like you go after a lion with a sword and that 50 cal is your backup.
Check that out.
If things don't go well.
Yeah.
But
this is sort of the inverse of what I think of as a cut and shoot. Because it seems like a lot of cut and shoot are like a pistol with a knife attached to it. You know what I mean? And this is a cut and shoot.
Yeah, this is a sword. And I was trying to explain that to him, and he was like, "Nah, what?" I was like, "Well, a lot of them are saber-ish." And he was like, "No other sword stuff." I was like, "Nope, never mind. I'm just saying yours is a big sword. I haven't seen that very often."
Yeah.
But yeah, it's pretty amazing. But yeah, here we go with what actually is a Bowie. And these are extremely unique. He had a very interesting way of doing the handle on these. It's basically a wire wrap, a twisted wire wrap.
Oh, wow.
That's like a sort of proprietary wire wrap thing that he doesn't really, he's been doing it. He doesn't really show anybody. He said he's shown like one person who was a good friend, and that was it on how to do this. And I guess it takes him so long to do it that he does about one a year, and they start out at like 45,000.
Wow.
But the result is pretty damn amazing. And what I posted here, it's got, your Bowie blade, beautiful Damascus. This one's got engraving, but it's hard to explain how that wire twisted wrap fits into the handle.
Yeah.
Or how to explain it without seeing it. You guys will just have to kind of check it out. It almost looks like a tread type of pattern, but in a positive, really good way.
Yeah, it looks like an inlay, but it's the opposite.
Yeah, it looks like a herringbone chain inlaid.
Yes.
Yeah. And he said, what I'll say is it entails a microscope and a lot of work.
Yeah, I bet.
So it's just a crazy cool piece. Nobody else does the handle like that, and it's I don't know, pretty amazing.
Yeah, that's real cool.
So yeah, it's not something you see very often.
No, so it looks like that piece actually, those little silver faces that you can see that are polished up, like there's gaps between them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They say he's done some with silver, some with gold, some with a stainless steel and a carbon steel. So then you blew it so the carbon turns, a different color. You get a nice, I don't know. It's
wow.
I was intrigued, but that sword's what drew me in. Yeah. I was just looking for Newton pieces, and I was like, "What in the hell is that?"
It's definitely a stop you in your tracks piece.
Yeah, but you can hit his Instagram at Ron Newton Knives.
This one's got a funky notch too. Different, but also funky.
They like them notches.
He doesn't live too far from me.
Well, there you go.
Maybe I'll go down and see if he'll show me.
Right.
It's pretty crazy. Arkansas has a lot of really good knife makers in it. Not counting me. I mean, I'm not counting myself in that number. The ABS has a lot of knife makers in Arkansas.
Now, if you guys, if you looked around his Instagram a little bit, check out that folding dog bone.
Yeah, that's what I was just looking at.
Kind of pops out, handle pops out. Then it's almost like a spring loaded. So yeah, you guys will enjoy this Instagram.
Yep.
Some crazy, crazy stuff. Really cool.
Right. Really cool pieces. Yep. Some keyhole stuff. Very nice.
Mm-hmm. He did a show, or not a show, whatever. Did a class on keyhole stuff at Blade this past year.
Good call.
Yeah, I like the dog bone handle D-guard dagger cut and shoot.
Mm-hmm. They said
that's pretty badass.
They said he's done about 16 total.
Really?
Cut and shoot sort of things.
Wow.
I was looking for Bruce Bump cut and shoot stuff, and I couldn't find the one that had in my mind. But yeah, the cut and shoot. Talk about a classic Bowie that can be pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. I almost went digging up some Bruce Bump stuff. You know, it was that Don Hansen about, man, so many.
Yeah.
Man, do you guys see this 8-bladed barrel knife on Ron's Insta?
The one that's like a Sheffield piece?
Yeah, it's like pearl.
The pearl handle one?
This one looks kind of like ivory. It definitely isn't pearl.
Okay. There's a pearl one on there too.
Yeah, 4 blades on each end.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
It reminds me of the Joseph pieces, Sheffield.
Joseph Rogers.
Pieces, yes.
Yeah.
Very much in that vein.
He's got a mother of pearl one if you scroll down about, 10 more.
Yeah, really cool.
Pretty talented guy.
Well, there's a little bit more picture of that wire handle thing all close up too. Maybe a video.
Mm-hmm. The black and silver.
Yeah, I'm going to have to go back and watch that. Great pick, Michael.
Thanks.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think we made it through the list.
I think we did, guys.
I think we went through all the categories. Yeah. So, okay. I know we had honorable mentions or extra picks or whatever. What you guys got?
I think top of the list probably should be D.E. Henry, or near the top.
100%.
Yeah.
I mean, as far when I think Bowie from 30 years ago, that's instantly where I go. I think his work was some of the cleanest, but I think we'd mentioned him before.
Yeah, I was going to say I was going to pick D.E. Henry, and then I'm like, I talked about him in an earlier episode, so
Right. But I definitely think he needs to be mentioned.
Absolutely.
Yes. John Nelson Cooper.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
100%.
And yeah, I mean, so many makers. I mean, you could even throw like Moran in there, the Loveless Subhilts.
We have to say Fisk. Fisk is.
Yes.
I mean, there's no way we can't. I mean, he's done a lot for.
ABS. So many of the ABS makers make really good Bowies. I mean, that's kind of their thing. If you don't make it in their style, then they're not super happy if you're in the ABS, it seems.
All right. So, Sean, what did you have backup picks?
Yes, sir. My first one is a Charlie Ox Spec Ops Bowie. And I'm sending you guys pictures.
Nice.
And I've mentioned Charlie before because he's the dude who originated the black knife.
Oh, yeah.
The Cold Spring Auto we're also fond of.
And that's a pretty one.
Did the pics come through?
I'm looking at the black
I got them.
one, yeah.
Okay.
I got it right now.
And I mean, that's just a clean interpretation of the all-American Bowie clip point.
Yep.
It ain't got a bunch of fucking bells and whistles. It's just a goddamn using knife.
Yep.
What else you got? You said you had
And
two.
then-
Don't tease us.
Yes. Actually, in my delving while we were talking, I found a collaboration between Sam Lurkin and the Cass Guys.
Oh, Lordy, Lord.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, right?
Look at that thing.
Try to explain that.
Go for it, man. You tell it.
Good luck.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, just carving and what would you describe as a midway
Two-finger
subhill?
subhilt.
Yeah, I was going to say
subhilt.
two-finger subhilt.
Two-finger subhill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just gorgeous mammoth ivory and super active Damascus and a carved out fuller that super nicely polished so that all the Damascus goes together and really flowing guard and
It looks
nice
like that
butt cap.
top edge may go all the way back.
Yeah, it looks like it is ground as such. Yes,
Right.
Maybe sharpened only halfway, but ground all the way.
yeah,
Almost like a recurved upper grind or upper sharpened edge.
and then the sheath looks like it's part of the fucking Necronomicon. So.
That mammoth on it. Ooh.
Yeah. That's a crazy piece all around. I love how much sculpting there is in the main guard. What a cool piece.
I kind of wonder where these pieces go. I mean, CS makes a crazy amount of stuff, it seems like, that's so crazy good. And it just disappears. Can you imagine having this in your collection?
Yeah, it's a wild piece.
Whew.
Very, very wild. I think that the first thing I thought of when I'm looking at that guard, Sean, is that it has like it looks like a scorpion or something. It's like some kind of insect shape. You know what I mean? Like like a scorpion's tail or something. I don't know.
Oh, yeah. The top part of the guard, definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, and especially in the picture that I sent, if you're looking at the lower picture that highlights the handle, the angle they have, it looks like a scorpion getting ready to sting.
Yes. Yep.
And then from that angle, the lower portion of it looks almost sharkish.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, it was my thought.
Yeah. Like a long fin with a notch.
Yeah.
The butt cap has like a really interesting, maybe a tang nut that's like sharpened too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Little skull
turned down to a serious point.
Very cool piece.
Yeah, I mean, and just how cool is that Fuller? Damn.
Good call.
Yep. Very cool piece.
Mark, you got any extras?
I didn't have any extras this time.
I didn't either. I had a hard time coming up with the ones that I came up with.
Yeah, it's hard to narrow them down. So many different choices out there.
I kind of thought about going with like some of the McWilliams, like Panama Fighters, but they're more spear point than Bowie.
Well, save it. One of these days we could talk about the Arkansas toothpick. Yet another all-American knife.
I think the Bowie and the toothpick were almost interchangeable in some ways, and sometimes in places.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
And later on, became to be more known as a dagger, but I think early on they were same.
So, Michael, did you have any honorable mention or backup picks specifically that you wanted to talk about?
I just want to mention that, and this is way, way out of left field, but you know what's a really fun knife that I enjoyed playing with as a youngin', and I still have? Cold Steel Trailmaster.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that's Joe Cordova, right? I believe he designed that for Cold Steel.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't know that at all.
No, I didn't either.
Yep, for sure. Another great maker.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not surprised. I'm just saying I didn't know.
That may be my attraction to it then.
Dude, it's a great knife. Ben's got one in the back, like the back pocket of his seat on his car.
Yeah, that'd be a tougher one for Daniel to stick in his pants.
14.5 overall.
It's a heavy boy.
Yeah.
It's a big blade.
Mm-hmm.
But the Lamy he carries, to give him props, is about that big.
Yeah.
He wheels it out and you're kind of like, where'd that come from?
I would guess a Trailmaster isn't a particularly quick knife at 18 ounces and 5/16 stock.
No, it's an absolute chopper.
Yeah.
Right.
It's like a chainsaw. It's actually a really great knife.
It's very cool. The handle almost has like, my first thought when I saw it was like almost like a coffinish shape or something, but it doesn't. I guess it's more of a taper thing in the center, but.
Well, a little bit.
Yeah, I like it.
Actually, Don't they do a coffin-handled Trailmaster now?
I think it's called the Laredo.
So. Oh.
Laredo.
I do want to mention a Wild Bill Caldwell. I think that needs to be
pretty
tossed in
pretty
there
funny.
with one of the names.
I was looking through the Knives Points of Interest books, and Daniel was there when I was talking about it, and I came across that knife. It's in 3 different books, I think, the same knife, and I was like, this is a cool knife, and it was Wild Bill.
Nice.
Yeah. There's a couple those that the points of interest kind of repeat on some of them that you're like, they really enjoyed seeing this one.
Yeah. Yeah, I never picked up on it before that it was in multiple books, but it for sure is.
Okay.
Well, very, very fun episode, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, good call. We going to do daggers next?
Maybe.
Could be cool.
It could be cool. We should trick.
Equally wide open.
It certainly is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
If not more so, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Because then you can get into like European influence and, Quillian daggers and all that.
I brought a damn sword into mine. So.
Somehow Birch got a sword in the mix.
Mm-hmm.
A sword, cut and shoot, no less.
Yeah. He's a tricksy one.
He is. if we're going to do daggers, I think we have to have Les George join us for a dagger episode.
Oh, that would be fun, except he doesn't listen to our podcast. Sorry, Les.
Or like us.
Oh, you're right.
That's true.
Two small problems we have to work through. Okay, guys?
But daggers.
But daggers. That's probably enough to get him right there. He's perking up right now as we record.
Mm-hmm.
Off in the distance, he could hear it.
Senses are tingling.
That's exactly
He's
right.
dragging himself out of the trash can he lives in and just,
Damn.
I'll bait that son of a bitch into joining us.
Oh.
Yeah, but it's a garbage can, not a garbage can't, baby.
Yeah, we're going to have to get Les on just to talk about the Les versus Michael back and forth. We're going to drive it to conclusion or talk about how far it goes back. It goes back a ways, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. I think that's our next pick. I really think that is good. We'll do daggers and
daggers with Les.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that'd be funny.
Maybe he doesn't listen to us because they don't have like internet where he lives.
Oh, yeah. Who knows?
I don't know.
Or like you said, he doesn't like us. One or the other.
Well, I know he doesn't like us.
Why can't it be both? Yeah.
Probably doesn't know how podcasts work.
Oh, right. Yep. Okay. You may have summoned him enough at this point. We should probably stop. Yeah, good episode. Lots of fun. We'll have lots of pictures to share of all this stuff. I think we all have links and or a folder full of pictures. We can drop them in the Facebook group. So people should like that.
Yep.
And hey, folks, share the Bowies you like.
Yeah.
It's the Bowie Bonanza, bitches. Share it up.
It is. It's the Bowie Bonanza. It's Bowie's for everyone because America. Right, Sean?
Exactly.
All right. Well, if you're not in the Facebook group, please consider joining us there. It's always a lot of fun conversation. Sometimes we do some fun things. We theoretically have some t-shirt and merch stuff that we're working on that needs some attention. So we'll get some more of that going, and that'll be the place to see it. You can follow us on Instagram at Mark of the Maker, and or just search Mark of the Maker on Facebook, and we have both a page for the show and a Facebook group where you can join us and chit-chat about all kinds of things. So we appreciate everybody taking the time to join us there. Fellas, I think that's it. Go ahead, Sean.
I just want to say there's only one way this episode could have been better. We needed a soundbite of an eagle screeching, so whenever somebody said Bowie, we hit the button and the eagle screeches, because that's how fucking American this blade is.
That's a great point.
Way to think of it at the end of the show.
Damn it.
Dang. Oh, man, at least I thought of it,
I may or may not edit one in at the very end. We'll see.
All right, guys.
All right.
That was awesome.
Yeah, it was good. Thanks, everybody, for listening. We'll talk to you next time.
Thanks, all.
Thank you.
Thanks, folks. You guys take care. Remember, amxinc.com.
To learn more about our makers, you can find Tom Crine on the web at crineknives.net, in his Facebook group, Crine Knives, or in his Instagram account at Crine Knives. For Michael Birch, check birchtreeblades.com, Facebook group Birch Tree Blade Works, or Michael's Instagram at birchtreeblades. For myself and the Raygun Bead Project, we're on the web at raygundivision.com. We have a Facebook group called Raygun Division, or my personal Instagram at msteiner. For those interested in photos, references from the show, or some discussion about the show itself, you can find us on the web at markofthemaker.com, in a Facebook group called Mark of the Maker, or on our Instagram at Mark of the Maker. Last but not least, the ultra cool and haunting background music we use for the show is a piece called Noir Guitar by Stevie's Amp Shack, found at the Free Music Archive and licensed under Creative Commons CC BY 4.0. Thanks for listening.